Hey everyone, Brendan Sander here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me, and welcome to a special review for the brand new Fanny box set called the Reprise Years 1970 to 73. So this is one of the first all-female rock bands out there, going way back. I think they were signed in '69. 4 CDs in here. We're going to talk about this. I'll break it all down to a full review and unboxing for you guys. We're going to get into it here in just a bit, though. But if you are new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also, leave a comment, hit like. All those things do help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, if you turn on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on everything, just like this, with a review for this very cool Fanny box set put out by Cherry Red Records. So I want to jump back, do a little bit of history on the band because not a lot of people know about them, and not a lot of people know about the very unique history behind one of the very first all-female rock bands. And so they're actually an American band. Some people think that due to the Filipino heritage and stuff that they might be from Asia or Europe or, Britain even. But they're not. They're an American rock band from California. And as I said, one of the first all-female rock bands. And while not the first, because that would actually go to bands like Goldie and the Gingerbreads or the Pleasure Seekers, those two bands only released singles. So the cool claim to fame that Fanny gets, while not necessarily being the first all-female rock band, is they were the first to put out a full-length album. So that's kind of a cool thing there. They also wrote all of their own material. And while a lot of the typical female pop groups of the time, and that's the distinction here too, this is one of the first all-female rock groups. There were a lot of all-female pop groups and stuff out there putting out albums and whatnot. But those groups usually had writers doing it for them and that sort, and Fanny wrote all of their own material. And so the band itself was formed by two sisters, June and Jean Millington. So the original lineup to the group being those two sisters, June played guitar and vocals, Jean was bass and vocals. Then we had Nikki Barclay on keyboards and vocals, and Alice Dubar on drums and vocals. So all the girls sang, which was another very cool aspect to the group. And famed producer Richard Perry signed them to Reprise Records in 1969, and utterly unheard of at that time to have an all-female rock band like that was writing their own stuff. They ultimately had 2 Billboard Top 40 hits and recorded 4 studio albums together before June decided to quit the group. And so one additional album was recorded after June left the group. It was called Rock and Roll Survivors and released in 1974. And they did add 2 new members into the group at that time, Patty Quattro on guitar and vocals, replacing sister June, and Bree Howard on drums and vocals, replacing Alice Dubar. But following that release, the band split in 1975. So not that long a time that they were together, basically those 6 years. But if you fast forward to 2018, a sort of offshoot or reunion of the group, depending upon how you want to see it, called Fanny Walked the Earth. I don't think they own the rights to the name. It was kind of a typical thing back then in the 60s for labels, producers, other people to own the rights to the name. Very unfortunate thing. But in 2018, they reformed under the name Fanny Walked the Earth, releasing one self-titled album. But it was kind of an interesting thing too, because it was made up of the 2 different lineups. You had June and Jean Millington in the group, guitar, bass, and vocals for those 2, and then Bree Howard, which was someone who played on that 1974 album, drums and vocals, and she came into the lineup there. So made up of the 2 different lineups, and they did Fanny Walk the Earth. I think they may even still be out doing things today, which is kind of a cool thing. But over the years, many all-girl groups have cited the band as being very influential on them. The Runaways, the Go-Go's, the Bangles all have cited Fanny as an influential group for them. And even Little Feat frontman Lowell George, who was a big fan of them back in the day and had jammed with them in 1973, talking about just how good a band they were at that time, saying they were just one of the best 70s rock bands, not even talking to them specifically categorizing them in the all-female thing, but just saying they were one of the best 70s groups at that time in 1973. And so all of this just sort of showing that a band that only existed from 1969 to 1975, 6 short years, left a really lasting impression, and it's still felt today, and certainly leading to this box set getting released. And very, very cool that it's finally happening. And so I want to super shout out to Cherry Red Records, the label that's putting this out, because for them to decide to compile this and release this CD box set. I know how hard it has been to track down individual copies of these albums on CD, and they're often extremely costly out there. And so this being very reasonably priced on Amazon right now, $42 for 4 CDs with the amount of material that you're going to get on it, well worth it. So let's break this down now. As I said, it's called the Reprise Years 70 to 73, put out by Cherry Red Records, 4 CDs in total. It is covering their first 4 albums that are in here. And we get 36 bonus tracks that are spread amongst those albums. And you're getting things like single versions, alternate editions, or alternate takes, because some it's first take, second take, stuff like that. We get some B-sides in here. We get demos of the album tracks. We also get live performance materials. So just a real plethora of all the great stuff that you can get when digging through the vaults. And I know as a fan, I only owned 1 album of theirs. I had Charity Ball, their second album, and picked this up. And this one here was a re-release on vinyl. And when they did this, they didn't put it out on CD, and I was very bummed. But knowing of the band and wanting to know something by the band, I went ahead and picked this up. And I kid you not, I no more than bought this. And about 3 days later, I saw an announcement from Cherry Red Records that they were putting out this box. And that just made me super happy, because I had enjoyed that album so much that I really wanted these on CD. As you can see, I'm a huge CD fanatic. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to both do the unboxing of this and then talk individually about each of the albums. So front cover there, and the back side, you can see it's got all the individual info by album on here. Very well done. The side of it, I love it when they do the logo on the side as well, not just a standard font or something like that. And this is very popular style of box that has been going around. It's called the clamshell style. Most of you guys should probably know this by now. I mean, if you look at the top of my CD racks, those are pretty much all clamshell style boxes like this. And I moved here going on just over 2 years at this point. But when I designed my music room, because these are so popular, I actually designed the CD shelves for a place for these sort of smaller clamshell style boxes that labels are doing, where they're grabbing whole catalog of a particular label or something and putting it out. So that's what this is. That's what that is. As I'm just pointing out, very popular. All right, we open it up and we get the booklet right on top, a 26-page booklet in here. Let's take a quick thumb through on this. So it is just filled with information in here. Starts off with the album stuff, you get that. And then you get right into a full history and review that goes really in depth with a lot of great photos, because there's not a lot of stuff on the internet about them. Luckily, Wikipedia has some great info in it, and I sort of gave you the Cliff Notes version of it as I was talking at the front of this. But if you want a really good in-depth history of the band, this is the place to get it here. They've done a great job, and hopefully because of this, more info will now get out on the internet about them. And it just also shows you the singles and stuff like that in the back side of it. So you're getting a little bit of everything with that. But let's dive into and start with their debut album. This was the cool cover. And see, here in the US, Fanny means rear end. In the UK, it means vagina. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, it'd be funny if in the UK they used that as the front cover, and this, of course, here in the US. But all in all, and so what's also nice too is that while they reproduced the art, they did put the bonus tracks on. And a lot of times when they do that for these replica LP style sleeves, they don't put these on the back side, and I have to flip over to the back of the box to get it. And so I appreciate that Cherry Red Records did that for us. So this is the first one. As I said, debut studio album. It has the original 11 tracks on it, but it's got 10 bonus tracks on it. So 21 tracks in all when you're listening to this. And then we've got Charity Ball, their second album from 1971. And so this one here featuring the original 11 tracks. And again, they put on here the bonus tracks right on it. So I can sit here, and they're definitely, as you can see, of a large enough scale that we can read it. Because that's the other thing. Sometimes they will keep the font the same size as the original logo text and stuff that was, or not logo text, but text that was on the LP, and then it's just absolutely unreadable to us older guys that need glasses. So anyways, that's on here, and this one here comes with 8 bonus tracks on it. And I was very happy to see that with this album here, and what I liked about it, that the types of bonus tracks that we're getting here, a couple single versions, but we get a bunch of live stuff on here. We get the Mother's Pride demo sessions that are on this as well. There's the song Place in the Country, which is the first version, the first take of that song that they did. Wild Honey demo sessions. So a lot of cool stuff appearing on these, not just single takes or edits or things like that, which I get very bored with. If I've already listened to the album, I don't just want a bunch of that on there, and they definitely dive a bit deeper on this sort of stuff. Third album was simply called Fanny Hill, which is also where we get the front cover from on here. So if you didn't pick up on that, that's where that at least is taken from. The back side of this thing came out in 1973. Third studio album featuring the original 11 tracks. There you go up top, but it adds in 10 bonus tracks. And this one here has, again, it starts off with a single version of the song Ain't That Peculiar is on here. But we get into some outtakes and things, songs that didn't make the album on here. Young and Dumb, Tomorrow. There's some B-sides on here. They got some live stuff on this one as well. So again, all in all, very cool stuff that we're getting as part of this. And the last album, which I always liked this one, Mother's Pride, and I would have really liked to have seen where the band would have gone with its original lineup had they made more albums going forward, because for me at least, they were starting to really come into their own on this album here. This is the one that was starting to sound like the true sort of 70s classic rock style sounding stuff, because, you know, they were certainly influenced by sort of Beatlesque pop stuff. They were influenced by funk and things of that nature. It's why Richard Perry took note of them. But this is where I felt like they were really coming into their own, and we were hearing who they were. And so this one here has 13 tracks as the original album itself. And then we get the bonus tracks on here, which was 8 more songs on here. Now this one has a bunch more of the single versions, has a couple of original versions and stuff like that. Not as well done as the other ones. There might just not have been stuff in the vault for it. We get the All Mine Mother's Pride demo session. Last Night I Had a Dream, a live version on here. But all in all, and I also just always thought that was a cool album cover, and liked that one myself. But there you go. So that's the box. That's what comes in it. The 4 albums itself in replica sleeves with a 26-page booklet, all in the clamshell style thing. So, I mean, it's very good content for the $42 price that I'm seeing it for on Amazon. But bottom line on this is just that I think the band is definitely more than a curiosity. A lot of those early all-female groups were done as gimmicks, and this was not a gimmick. They were together as a band and found and signed by Richard Perry to Reprise Records and wrote all their own stuff. And so I definitely want that to be a distinction in here. This is not a group that was put together. This is a group that formed themselves. And I think it's really cool that the record label Cherry Red Records has decided to do this, to shine a light on this group that didn't last all that long. And while definitely cited as an influential group, not a lot of people know who they are. So I'm hoping that this, with its 36 bonus tracks on it, gets a lot of people to take a second look at the group. And I hope it really helps shine a light and expand the existing legacy that is Fanny. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this review and unboxing for this really great all-female rock band, Fanny. Certainly let me know your thoughts, how you found the band, or if this is your first time hearing about them and what you think of the band. I think that'll all be pretty cool to hear about this great group. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.